Hi everyone, this is Joe Biondo, and today I'm going to show you how to create a new image using Photoshop. I'm going to teach you how to create a new Photoshop file, resize an image, use the color picker, fill in an image, apply a stroke, and type. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing you need to do is open up Photoshop. So if you have an icon on your toolbar, you can just click on that. If not, you can search for it and click the magnifying glass, and you could try apps, and you can type in a couple letters, and there's Photoshop right there. And then that'll open up Photoshop for you. So now that you have Photoshop open, what we want to do is we want to do create new. So go ahead and click on create new. And so as you can see, there's a bunch of different options here for creating a new Photoshop file. So there's a default size, and you have landscape. Also, you see these tabs up here. So if you're looking to do a photo, you have different sizes for photos, print, art illustration, web, and a bunch there. And some of them have different pixels per inch. So like for the web one, you'll see that as a 72 pixels per inch. So that's optimized for a web graphic. And then you can see the ones on the print, they have ones that are 300 ppi, pixels per inch, which is optimized for if it was being printed. So in this case, let's go to, um, photo. We'll go to photo, and we're going to pick the default Photoshop size, right? So click on that. But also here, I want to attract your attention here to the details. So by doing that, it's giving you the width and height in inches. You can always change that to pixels if you wanted to and see what that is in pixels. So that's 2100 pixels by 1500 pixels. But let's just keep it in inches. You can change the orientation, right? So you can go vertical or you can go horizontal. In this case, I want you to click horizontal. So to make sure that's selected. The resolution, we just talked about that, pixels per inch is what they call resolution here. So this is 300 pixels per inch. So that's fine, we'll keep that there. The other stuff we'll keep the same, just keep the default. We don't need to worry about that. So you can go ahead and click create. Okay, so now that we have this, we need to look at a couple things. Down here you can see that this image is actually 50%, or actually you can even look up here too. This is 50% of the actual size of the image. And so it fills the screen, but that might be a little bit large for what we're trying to do here. So let's resize this. And so how we're going to resize this image is we're going to go on the top here, and we're going to go image size, okay? And click on image size. And so now you can see it's in pixels, okay? And so we want to change this to make it a little bit smaller because we actually don't need it to be that big. So let's change this to 800. Okay. Do you notice the width and the height? The proportions will stay the same because this little icon here will tell you, will keep them together. So if you do 800, it'll automatically resize the height to keep the proportions. If you didn't want to do that, all you had to do was unclick the little lock key here. So to constrain the aspect ratio. But we're going to keep this on for now. Actually, it went back to the original, so we're going to go 800 to keep that there. Resolution's 300, that's fine. So go ahead and click OK. Okay, so you saw that now the image is resized to 800 by 571 pixels at 300 pixels per inch. So this is actually, this is now 50% of the actual size, so it's a little small. But we want to resize that to see what it looks like at 100% of what you want to see. So the way you can make this 100%, you could do it a couple ways. But the way I like to do it is you can click on the magnifying glass over here, tool, and then you can just go right to the top and say 100%. So if you click on 100%, that then will resize your image to be 100% of the size here. So this is important to know what percentage you're working at. So 100% is the actual size of the image that you're going to produce. Sometimes if you're working with something large, you want to work at a smaller percentage, or if you need to make an adjustments to a photo, you'll want to go in over 100% to see the detail of the photo to touch something up. So the next step here is to let's put a color on our image here. So the way we can do that is let's go back to let's click the move tool real quick so that we can make a selection. And the way we would do that is we're going to click on this first swatch here, the top left swatch, and that would be the foreground color. So we're going to put in the foreground color. So you can do a couple things. You can click around and pick a color that you want. You can move the sliders or just click around in the sliders and pick a color that you like. The other thing you can do is you can add like an RGB color, or in this case with the hashtag, that's the hex color. So I want to put in a hex code, so I want 211E3B is going to be the code that I want, which is like a navy blue color. Okay, so once you have that, you can hit OK. Okay, and so you have that now in your little swatch. Now on the bottom one, this is the background color. Let's change the background color. So we'll click on that. Same thing before. If you want to pick a color, go ahead and pick a color that you want. But for my purpose, what I want to do is I want to put in another hex code that I have. And mine is going to be 31C7EC, which is going to give me this nice light blue color. When you're done that, hit OK. Okay, so now I have my colors set up and I'm ready to go. So the next thing is I want to then fill this box with the foreground color, my navy blue. And so the way we do that is we're going to go edit and then fill, okay, fill. And then you have some selections here, right? So what we want to be on is the foreground color, right? So we want the navy blue, but if you wanted it to be the light blue color, you can pick background color. You can pick black, 50% gray, white, pattern. You can also pick your color from here. But in this case, we're going to pick the foreground color because that's what I want. We'll keep it normal, and we'll keep the opacity at 100%. So go ahead and click OK. And so now that you see that got dark um, with my navy blue color. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make a border around this image, which we would call a stroke. So the way we can make a border is we're going to click the marquee tool up here, the second icon, okay? And we're going to left click, starting kind of on the outside of the image here. I'm going to go left click and drag around, right? Still holding your left mouse button and then let go. And you can see now you have the dashed lines around the image, okay? And so we want to put a border or stroke on this. And so the way we would put a stroke is we go edit, stroke, okay? So what I want to do is I do want a thick width on my border. So I do want to do 8 pixels. You could do it as, you know, 1 and go up as thick as you want. So I want to do 8 pixels, but I don't want it to be the background color. I don't want it to be the foreground color. I want it to be the background color. So the way we would do that is if you click on the little swatch here, and then you can go and move your mouse. You see it turns into the eyedropper. Just move your mouse over to the background color, okay? And then you can just click on that light blue, and that samples the light blue color, okay? So then you hit OK on the color picker, and then you're going to hit OK on the stroke box, right? And then you can just click off to deselect it. So now you have a blue border on your image. Okay. Um, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add some typing in here. We want to add some text into our box. So what you want to do is you want to go down and click on the type tool, click on the T, and then you're going to left click anywhere inside of our box. Okay, so that by default puts in this lorem ipsum text, which is just kind of dummy text that you can use to kind of see what the shape of the font is that you're using. Okay, so let's type in something. So I'm going to type in welcome. Okay, so you can type in whatever you want. And then if you want to position it, you can click on the move tool, the top one here, and you can left click and move around anywhere you want on here. The other way to position text is why you have it highlighted is you can use the mouse key, the arrow keys on your keyboard. You can go up or down. So you can see you can go up, can go down, go right, go left, right? So if you need to just adjust something a little bit, you use your arrow keys to make that position there, okay? And so now that you have that set, it's a real simple image. Next step is you want to save this, okay? So you'll want to go File, Save, okay? And then you can save this as your in the exercise one or wherever you want to put it. Give it a name, and we'll save this as a Photoshop file, which means that it'll have layers. We didn't actually do layers on this particular image, but we will moving forward. So we're going to save this as a Photoshop file first, and we'll call this welcome. And then you can hit save. And so you could just hit OK on this. This is just saying that that Photoshop is going to maximize the compatibility of this image. It doesn't really matter, so you can hit OK. Right, and so now you can see now this has PSD on it, so this is your Photoshop file. But if you wanted to turn this into a JPEG that you can use on a website or a PowerPoint, the way you would do that is you would do the similar. You would go File, but this case you go Save As. Okay. By default, it's going to be Photoshop, so you have to use your drop-down selector and pick JPEG. Okay, and then you can name that Welcome, and then just hit Save. And then you'll get options here to select the quality of the image. So if you want it to be the best quality possible, move that slider up to 12 maximum. But if you're concerned about file size, you can always back this down a little bit and still have some quality, but also it'll lower the amount of the file size. So you can see the file size here. So that's 45K, but if I move it up to 12, it's now 70K. So some things you might want to consider as you're doing this. But when you're ready, hit OK, and now you have your JPEG. So that is the first lesson about how to create a new image in Photoshop. I'll talk to you at the next lesson.